podcast where the hosts are all real, the topics are lightly researched, and the internet points don't matter. I'm your host, Anna. Joining me is Brandon Vader.
Thanks, Anna. That was our new intern, Anna, on loan from Synthesia. She's the latest in deepfaked AI videos and may or may not return for a future episode on the topic. But I am joined by my fellow sacks of mostly water, Psychonitrous, also known as Cody Stratman. Directly next to me, Charlie Stifler, also known as Mjolnir. Down in the corner, which is where he belongs, is Colton Roper, also known as Seeker 4761. Got a little itch there, buddy?
Yeah, a little bit of itch right there. Yeah, right in my glasses. It's always right here. Yeah. We have to get that checked out.
That's how many times we're going to flog our host, by the way.
I am now planning a trip to Gunnison's for the sole purpose of kicking your ass.
God damn, he is sassy this month. Well, it's a new month now.
It is a new month,
sassy.
But
yeah. Hey, why not? Fuck it.
So, yeah. This is episode 37, or season 2, episode 7, recorded on March 8th, 2021. And yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a rantacular episode. I feel if you have watched the previous episode, we kind of touched on just a little bit of cancel culture, and I felt like that deserved a full-length follow-up. And so this should be entertaining. We hope.
At the very least. Hopefully, this is not the last episode of the podcast.
I was gonna say we're putting our friendship to the test. It sounds like based on our pre-talk. So this ought to be interesting.
We're putting our friendship on the line for good information for you, the viewers, and/or listeners, all three of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cody.
Okay.
Take us away.
I'm taking us away?
You're taking us away.
I wasn't aware that
You always start the rant.
To be fair, Brandon, you're the one that proposed this.
Yeah, you're the one who brought up the topic, so it's like it's awkward for me to take it.
So what is making you want us to destroy our friendship over this?
Because I'm trying to recall what it was last episode where, like I know I edited it, but I already forgot from a week ago.
That was past Cody's problems.
Yeah.
We don't like that guy anyways.
I screw past Cody.
Fuck that guy.
Future Cody. That's where it's at.
Yes. Future Cody, who will be on that beach one day.
We'll see. Maybe. Maybe not.
Yes. Yeah, you'll get there.
Maybe not.
Have a positive attitude. It just may take a little while. You'll get there.
Anyway.
Positivity out the window, friendships out the window. Cancel culture, yeah. I don't honestly remember what tipped us off last week either, but it seems like it's everything lately. Like, there's now all of a sudden everybody's up in arms about Eminem's music. The rapper, Eminem.
Okay, so the question is he still a rapper?
Okay.
Does he still have a music deal? Is he still selling records? If the answer to any of that stuff is yes, then he hasn't been canceled. It's not cancel culture. It's standard discourse, which is something he lives for.
Well,
That's that was his whole entire premise when he exploded out in when I was in high school in 2002, 2001. Like, when he really hit the scene, it was all about how fucking rude, obnoxious, and anti-norm can I be. And he succeeded.
So he was the first, obnoxious YouTuber, kind of.
Eminem?
No, I mean, in a way. Like, you look at some of those YouTubers, like, what was it, Jacksepticeye and stuff that are like, hey, what's up, guys? You know, that type of person? Like, that's obnoxious.
Like in your face and abrasive?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe,
I don't know if
maybe Eminem was, like that to music. Am I wrong? I don't listen to a lot of Eminem because
to be fair,
and I like Jacksepticeye, you son of a bitch.
To be fair, like
that's just rude to my mother.
There's always been musicians that do that kind of thing. That's not a unique thing for Eminem. There's always been the rebel of every genre. I mean, Mozart arguably was a damn rebel. So it's his persona is fuck the system. I mean, just him being in that particular genre was kind of an interesting. Not going to get into it, but it was just it was just interesting what he did.
We have to define our terms. So if we're talking about cancel culture, are we talking about how everyone can loudly whine about how they don't like someone with no real change in that person's status, revenue, or vocation? Or are we talking about when R. Kelly makes a sex tape where he has sex with and urinates on underage girls and then doesn't get canceled? Cancel culture to me would be like, oh, you do that? Well, bye. It was nice not knowing you, and we'll never hear from you again.
I think
that's cancel culture.
It's the attempt.
Okay.
Like, if there is a concisive attempt to be made, whether or not the person actually gets fully canceled, like, that's kind of based off of their... That has a little bit of nuance to it. So I do not know enough. This is the first time that I've heard about the Eminem cancel thing to understand whether or not that is. Dr. Seuss, for instance, that's not.
I was going to say there's
culture.
I would say that the two big.
That's
the two things that are considered
a bad story or bad wording, and then people going crazy, and then other news clarifying the wording, and then like people maybe calming down. I don't know, but
no, they're not. That's
not.
part of the issue, because the idea of cancel culture as a hot topic doesn't come from arguably the left. It's I mean, it does happen, but it's generally the right seeing a particular. I mean, for example, I'm trying to think of an example. Louis C.K. Louis C.K. was arguably canceled because of some horrible sexist bullshit he did, and going back to what Charlie said, he's still a comedian. He did lose some big contracts, whatever you want to say, which happens because you represent the company, and the company has to be able to trust whoever they're paying to not make them look like a bunch of dumbasses. But he didn't. The issue I see with cancel culture isn't that someone said something 20 years ago when the times were different. It's how they handle the fallout of that. When a particularly arguably racist or sexist tweet or whatever comes out in the open, a lot of times the way it gets blown up is when the particular influencer or celebrity or athlete, politician, whatever, doesn't acknowledge it for what it was, and then doesn't apologize in a correct way. Almost as in, like, I'm sorry you were offended. That's not an apology. But that seems to be almost as like, why are you offended? That's bullshit. That's when there seems to be any sort of consequences.
So I'll give it an example.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
So there have been situations where the people have said, hey, look, I did wrong on that. But that was, 15 years. Hulk Hogan is a great example of that. He is no longer listed on the WWE Hall of Fame. He's no longer listed on any of their website or anything because he made a racist remark back when he was wrestling. And they have
to clarify,
since removed him.
That was not the precipitating event. The precipitating event was a racist remark in passing when he did not know the mic was hot after he was already inducted into the Hall of Fame. I've actually like read that story like last week when you hinted at cancel culture. I went through people who I thought I respected until they did something really despicable and they lost my support. And that's so there's multiple levels of cancel culture. There is where I make the personal choice that that person is not going to make a buck off of me anymore. I cannot support what they do. I cannot support them earning money because I am either morally or ethically compelled to revile them. So, R. Kelly used to love his music. Not after the piss tape. Nope. And,
yeah, that's kind of an issue of separating the art from the artist. You can't really do that.
Yeah.
Okay, how about I'll do a more modern one. Cody,
media stuff.
Are you aware?
I'm gonna not know who any of these people are.
Are you aware of the issue with J.K. Rowling right now? And
yes.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Cody, you're on the internet. How do you not know this stuff? It blows my mind sometimes. I love you.
Because I
do a quick recap of it.
There's a lot of like pop culture stuff I just don't care about. Like I don't care about people who are popular for popular media's sake. Like I don't care about Hollywood elite. I don't care about England's royalty. I don't care about like just a lot of media people, and that. But
the media they create is a big part of what culture is. That is culture. The media that is created is culture. Yeah, maybe the people themselves, but the work that they do is important to how we define ourselves as a culture. So to go into the J.K. Rowling thing, and I'm not the premier expert on this.
Something about transgenderism.
Exactly.
I don't recall the specifics of it though.
Yeah. And this is kind of the issue. So basically, J.K. Rowling obviously made the Harry Potter universe, beloved by millions of people, billionaire writer, that's a cultural milestone. Like, Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter are very important to children from around that time. Like, we all know about it. And even if you don't, everyone knows what Harry Potter is. It's Babe Ruth. It's Michael Jordan. It's the same. It's a cultural milestone, basically. It's not the term, but whatever the right thing. It's part of the zeitgeist. That's the right way to say it.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying.
No. This is more for in case anyone doesn't have any idea who the hell J.K. Rowling is. So basically, what she's kind of done, I think it started on Twitter, but basically she started making transphobic comments about, was it the bathroom thing? Yes. Is that kind of what got it started?
The bathroom thing. And then she also has a body of work where she wrote a story about a transgender serial killer.
It's that. It's also, I think it's the bathroom thing, and I could be wrong. It may also be the athlete thing as well.
Yep.
I believe so. So that kind of got people obviously up in arms. Again, it's concept of, can you still support an artist's work when the artists themselves don't necessarily represent what the art represents? Because the idea in Harry Potter kind of is supposed to be about, obviously there's a character who's kind of, well, it's all about inclusivity. Just everyone can be a wizard, everyone can be a witch, at least if you have those abilities, and people don't judge on that kind of shit in the universe.
Right.
And
all the bad guys in that universe judge someone based on their heritage and their background.
Yeah, that's kind of the themes going on there. So the issue with J.K. Rowling, and kind of goes what Charlie said, it's not that she made one comment, which we've all made comments we're not proud of. I mean, whatever, it happens.
We all say stupid shit.
Yeah, it's the response that this author made and then continues to make. And that's the issue. It's again, that's the idea of being canceled. How can you support an artist and the art that they make? Because financially, you're supporting them. Right now I think WB Games is making a game about Harry Potter, and they're having to deal with it as well, because they recently put in a trans character, or allowed you to
create a trans
character, kind of arguably in a very insensitive and obviously tacked on way.
I mean, it
blows
Cyberpunk 2077, how they did the trans character in that was not an original game feature until all of this came out, and then it was tacked in. It was not an original feature.
Yeah, and
but the point is it's not necessarily that J.K. Rowling's gotten canceled, whatever. There's fallout to this type of thing, and as a culture, if she had apologized and it was sincere, going back to the Hulk Hogan thing, I would argue he's sorry he got caught. He's not sorry he did it. He didn't. Yep. At least I think that's why he's lost his career per se. It's not that he said the things, because go back 50 years and arguably everybody was racist on some level, or farther back, whatever. Point is,
I want to make
culture evolves from where it has been, and if someone is unwilling to acknowledge that maybe they were wrong, there's consequences to what you say. We're taught that from kindergarten. You have to think before you say. Words hurt.
Okay.
And again, as a culture, if we don't want to, what do we want to represent? I guess that's kind of, at least with the J.K. Rowling thing. And I'll let you go, Cody.
On that topic for a second,
Charles.
just interjecting for a second. I think the right approach was best made by, and I can't remember whether it was Emma Watson or Daniel Radcliffe, but asked on the topic of would you ever reprise your role, and their response was, as long as J.K. Rowling is not involved in the project. Because at this point, the Harry Potter universe is the writers, the directors, the producers, the greater mass. It's not George R.R. Martin. Everything that is Game of Thrones is George R.R. Martin. It has taken on. It's beyond that.
It's part of the zeitgeist.
It's like
owned
Star
by all
Trek,
of us.
how Star Trek is no longer
it's no longer Gene Roddenberry. Yeah, it's Rich Berman.
It's a universe.
It's a lot more Rich Berman, but Okay, Cody, please.
So I have two kind of question. For me, it's not necessary. So it's a little bit of what they said, but I want to know specifically why they said it. If somebody steals bread, yes, they stole bread. I want to know why they stole that bread. So it's the same thing. Like what thought process brought J.K. Rowling to that? So that is one part. Another part of this that I have, when you're talking about cancel culture and you're talking about, you're saying, should they never write again? Should their careers be completely
irreparably damaged?
Exactly. And that's the part, when you put somebody in prison, do you believe in the death sentence?
Personally, 99% of the time, no. But if you were to ask me if someone were to murder a family member of mine, I would tell you yes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the reason why I don't think there should be the death penalty.
I used to have a really draconian view of this. It was not long ago where I believed torture should actually be a punishment. I have since really stepped back from that. And by saying that you want somebody's career irrevocably damaged, you are eliminating if they are in a career that they love, and usually somebody in this position is going to be in a career that they love, that is a big essence of who they are, that you are removing them from that. And I'm not saying that what J.K. Rowling, I am not going to defend J.K. Rowling on that, but I am saying that we shouldn't have a permanent fixture solution to this.
But-
I'm saying that the solution to this would be to have J.K. Rowling and somebody like ContraPoints together.
Right, but
That
here's
would
the
be
issue with
interesting.
that, Cody. Like that would be arguably, I don't want to say apologizing, but that would be a somewhat, they would have to show some sort of form of acceptance of at least be willing to talk about it and be willing to listen to the other side. J.K. Rowling, and I'm just using her as a specific example because that's kind of the hot thing. She's had multiple chances to explain, if you're going off of your why she said it. She said it because she doesn't believe in it. She doesn't respect it. She doesn't respect trans people. She doesn't see them as people. She said that, basically. So she's had the chance to make it right. And then going back what Charlie said, and it's not that the character is the trans character. I know the work you're talking about. I think it was just a quick
Yeah,
play
it was a
kind of
short
thing.
story.
Yeah. It's not that the character is trans, because they could be killers too, just like
Right,
anyone else.
transvestites
It's how it's the tropes and the stereotypes of that particular character. It's the lazy writing that indicates that she doesn't seem to have any sort of, again, willingness to see this particular, and again, it's not a real character, but it's still representative of her views of not seeing these people as people, as that's the issue. And again, she's had chances, and it's not, and when you say should their career be destroyed, that's not, that's saying that there's some sort of cancel police out there that have the power to destroy a person's career. So
I mean,
sorry,
when you talk about being delisted from the New York bestseller list, when you talk about being delisted from things like that, that does affect their, like any new book she were to do, it would, from what I understand, would not be able to be listed as a New York bestseller.
Okay.
And
Going completely hardline, extreme devil's advocate. Mein Kampf. Highly popular book in the 40s and 30s. Should it ever be listed as a bestseller list? Should that body of work ever even be allowed to be considered for that kind of honor? And if not, why? Because we, as a culture, as a world, for the most part, God, I wish the world, said, no, that asshole over there can go fuck himself and the horse he rode in on. And we're not gonna put any more labor, emotion, or effort into even thinking about that asshole.
Okay.
And that's the most extreme example I can absolutely think of. I don't think you can find one that's more extreme than that.
yeah,
I'm not saying that J.K. Rowling should be in the same group as Hitler. What I'm saying is that actions have consequences, and it is and your example of the prison situation. What are the two main functions of someone being punished for crimes?
rehabilitation
There's one.
Mm-hmm.
and removing them from society if they're deemed
No,
too dangerous.
well, yes, but that's not the one I'm going for. It is
restitution.
deterrence.
Oh, okay.
Deterrence. To prevent someone else or that person from committing or doing that thing again. And by holding people accountable, we're saying, no, you do not have the right to make billions of dollars off of my money because you're a bigoted piece of shit. And if I don't stand up to that and say, no, I am not going to pay for bigoted piece of shit material, then the next bigoted piece of shit is going to make $1 billion. And if not, they're going to have to modify their behavior. They're going to have to adapt to the culture of the world, which is a lot less white and a lot less male. And
if they want to stay in a successful position.
Yeah, if they want to
at
stay
that
relevant and make money off of the general populace, they have to keep the general populace happy. And that means not being a bigoted asshole.
So I can get behind your stance there to some extent. Where that breaks down over the larger term is when we start talking about canceling historical, like removing historical monuments, removing historical plaques, removing bits of our history because we don't like it.
So, removal or relocation?
Moving.
Because there's a significant difference between destruction of historical property and the relocation of historical property. I think that every Civil War general that fought on the losing rebellious side, that fought against the Union of the United States of America, which we currently reside, should be in a museum. And not on a street corner, and not where my kid goes to elementary school. They lost. We shouldn't celebrate them.
And I would go even farther. If you're looking at the history of those particular monuments, they were put up as a deterrent for black people, as a way to show we are still in control. Under the guise of, and this has been proven, they were, era. I mean, what was it? The Women of the Civil War, or whatever that whole group is, they made a conscious effort, and there's documented correspondence between Daughters of the Civil War. That's what it is.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, and there's documented correspondence that they pushed these monuments to be put in a very public place as a reminder, say, yeah, you might have rights, you might not be a slave, but we're still number one. So historically, it is very important to remember, and we're just using that example, this happens all over the world. There's a reason statues are powerful. They represent an idea in some ways, especially if you're doing it in a public forum. I mean, look at the horse at DIA. I remember when that was a whole kerfuffle. And the one that devil horse and
Master that killed
and the one that the
evil demon
skeleton
horse.
Which I think is a freaking cool looking statue. But that's just me.
There's, sorry to interject this random. So there's a Denver News, I think he's an anchor, that has a rant about snow-covered lawn furniture that is brilliant, and everybody should watch this rant.
Kyle Clark.
We'll link it in the description.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it brings.
No one wants to see the picture of your snow-covered lawn furniture.
Right.
Yeah.
So I agree with Charlie. The idea of destroying our history is obviously bad because people who don't study history, the quote, people who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. Doesn't matter. People still study it. We still repeat it. Whatever. But the idea still stands. So to remove location, to remove a statue that has outright racist and treasonous, I would argue, implications, by definition, that's what it was. But to not forget about it, it's super important. It's obviously a very important part of our history. It belongs in a museum.
We should still.
It's not canceling. It's not canceling the Civil War generals who are been long dead. It's putting them in the context that they are needed. It is our past. It is important, but it is not who we are now.
My argument to that is, why couldn't that be the thing with where they originally were at? Why is leaving them in place a bad thing where we could
because it romanticizes bigotry. To speak directly to the point that I think you're making, it romanticizes bigotry. And we, as the American public, are trying to not be bigots anymore. And part of doing that is making sure that people that don't look like me feel comfortable and safe in all aspects of public that I feel comfortable and safe.
To go away from, I'm sorry, we're not trying to drown the other side out. I mean, no. But to go with another statue, quote unquote, I think it was Mississippi, and I'm probably wrong, but there's a southern state that actually had the 10 Commandments as I don't want to say a statue. And again, I'm probably remember this wrong, but I know this was a big story. Is either as a statue or as like a tapestry on the wall of the state courthouse.
It was on the wall of a courthouse in Alabama, if I remember correctly.
And I want to say it was at the very high levels of government. Like, it wasn't just a local thing. It was It was super up
It was
there.
the state house, if I remember. It was either
Yeah.
the state house or the state courthouse.
And I guess the question I have for both for you, to your point, Brandon, do you think that should still be there? Because that's been there for 100 years, I think. But it's the same. It's the same kind of concept. It wasn't destroyed. It was just removed and put in a different area. But its location represents. It represents.
That should have never
more.
been erected. Is the issue.
Okay.
That there is specific directives in the Constitution that prohibit the combination of church and state.
There's also prohibitives against treason as well. Technically, I mean, I'm just going with, if you're going with the Constitution argument, you can't commit treason either. That's why it's a whole nother thing. But you can go to jail for treason. Is kind of the thing. It's in the law book.
You can be executed for treason.
But there's
not exactly
a
the same
between putting a nameplate up for someone who, yes, did commit treason, yes, was probably not a very good person, versus putting up a monument that should not be erected because that monument directly defies constitutional law.
So
Okay,
there's something I wanted
so-
to bring up.
So someone decides. Oh, sorry. Cody, go. I'm in Bogarting. Go.
There's something that I've kind of wanted to bring up for a little bit now, and it's the idea that somebody should be eliminated. And it was when you were talking about Mein Kampf, that just because somebody is, we can all argue and all agree that Hitler was evil. Like that's something that
There's
is
no hot take about.
universally,
Yeah, I'm
like
pretty sure
everybody
we
can
agree.
drink to that. However, yeah, exactly. However, evil people still have good ideas, not related to what was evil. If you look at World War II, if you look at the amount of technology the Germans created, some of it to do terrible things, but to eliminate all of that knowledge is honestly, in my mind, a terrible deed for those people to sacrifice.
So,
here's the
elimination of
issue.
knowledge.
Perfect example of that. Von Braun. He was the mastermind behind the German rockets. He also
But
helped
he
get
was never-
us to the moon.
But he wasn't canceled. If we're going off of the modern
No.
term,
That's the exact thing. Is he was allowed to come over here, not face any sort of war crime or war criminal tribunal,
Did
not
von
face
Braun-
any repercussions.
Did von Braun kill or organize the killing of anyone during World War II other than develop the rocket engine for the V1 and V2? Did he abuse and confine Jews and kill them in mass? And you'll
But was
also
his
note
rockets
cancel
made
culture does not mean destruction of vital goods, knowledge, or product. Okay, Mein Kampf still exists. You can still get a copy of it. It's not something that you can buy at Barnes and Noble without special order, and then you get glared at by the vegan.
might end up on some sort of list now.
But
But
that is not cancel culture. Cancel culture does not. R. Kelly pissing on a teenager does not equal I Believe I Can Fly, R. Kelly edition, being removed or expunged from history. I can still YouTube that song. That does not mean his body of work or knowledge is canceled. I just don't want to fucking have him making any more music with a nice record deal. That's all I want.
After this,
That's what cancel culture is. It is not destruction of knowledge.
Because I have no idea who R. Kelly is either.
You know his songs though.
I'm not going to link it, and you're not going to play a song here. Nope.
Yeah, don't.
No,
You don't
I
want to.
wasn't planning on doing that.
But
I'm not throwing feces.
The
in
most
your
I will
face.
do is Chappelle shows. I want to piss on you.
it's pretty funny.
Drip, drip,
That
drip.
one's pretty funny.
But anyway,
So
He's an R&B
with
singer
Mein
from the 90s.
Kampf,
That's what he is.
with the idea of Mein Kampf, and again, we're going extreme here. At the time, a lot, and as said earlier, a lot of people read it, and it's kind of one of the things that's frustrating about history when governments claimed back then that, oh, we had no idea this was going to happen, the Holocaust and all that stuff. When I'm like, y'all read his manifesto, right? It was a very relatively popular book for what it was. I've read it. It's not very good, obviously, but even just from a story concept, it's just a bad book. But doesn't mean that it's probably one of the most important works of text in history, arguably, obviously, for at least specifically the 20th century. But it doesn't deserve to be on the New York Times bestseller. It's a pass. It is a. I mean, even back then, a lot of even people who were on our side were still pretty anti-Semite. That's probably why they didn't really do anything about it when they should have. Our past is important to study, and you can always you can't eliminate history. It's the same concept of with American history. There's a lot of stuff that we did that's arguably, well, war crimes in some ways, and at best not the shining light on a hill that we were taught when we were kindergartners.
look at the history of the Philippines,
But
for instance,
Yeah.
to see
Yeah,
some examples.
Just the
of that.
Philippines, Japanese internment camps, this fucking slavery, obviously. It's so, and that's a whole nother thing of like canceling America and people being taught that America isn't this great, super perfect. It isn't what it sees itself as in terms of history.
Moving the timer.
Arguably, that's it's not really cancel culture, but it's in the same ballpark, at least from a certain point of view, that you're being taught the truth, and yet people still see that as like canceling America, canceling our greatness. And I would argue all of us here, we all know that things happened, and it's not just to report on it or to learn about it doesn't mean anything. It's still important to know about it. So with all these other things going on now, and as Charlie alluded to, it's not like they're being deleted from history. Any of these people, especially with the internet, it's always going to be around. If you want to find it, you can find it. But as a culture, certain things that are out there, we don't necessarily want to put on the front page of the New York Times. I would argue.
I guess and I don't disagree with you with there. Actually, I'm not going to even say it that way. I agree with you there. Where I see issues with cancel culture is it becomes the hammer to make something then taboo to even talk about. Oh, you're investigating this person, you're a sympathizer, you are part of the problem. I'm going to come down on you with every force I have. And I've had that happen on social media regarding some things. And when you make something taboo like that, you drive it underground. And that's not something... I am totally for people making a point with their wallets. Somehow EA is still a company. Yeah. And I am guilty of that. Sorry, I saw your face expression there, Charlie. Yes, EA is not the same thing as a lot of these people.
You're making You're making a choice with your wallet because of the way they nickel and dime people for DLCs and No, I totally understand.
Yeah, and I recognize that EA is not socially trying to
They're
make
not committing a
people's
social
lives,
crime.
yeah, make people's lives worse. They're not trying to inflict their misery or their ideas of misery on a group of people. I do recognize that.
Okay.
But I think that the idea of cancel culture can take things too far. And actually,
Absolutely.
if you watch, ContraPoints did an excellent video on cancel culture. Who is an incredible, she's a trans YouTuber. And when she was talking about it, and she brought out the good points that it does cause change. Like, it does cause change in action. However, the negative is that you have a bunch of blind followers that then start attacking everybody and everything that is associated with that thing being canceled without looking at nuance.
I guess I don't fully understand what you're saying there.
So right now,
Well, for instance,
Yeah.
there for a while, Johnny Depp was person non grata because of Amber Heard's accusations that he would beat her and mistreat her. And it came out, finally, that it was her that actually was beating him and being the bad person in that relationship. And it took a while for his reputation to be washed.
I would argue that it's still not completely untarnished.
It's certainly not in
Exactly.
every movie like it used to be.
Yeah. And he did nothing wrong, but because everybody got behind Amber Heard initially.
So right now, Amber Heard is having the same exact backblast that
Yes.
Johnny did. So are you saying that is not justified now?
Should
I mean, does
at the level that
two
she was
wrongs make
at-
a right? Because I mean,
So-
that's
Three
almost
lefts
what
make
you're
a-
arguing.
But 3 lefts do.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be
But
not
to
two
turn
wrongs.
right?
So this is the unfortunate truth right now, is that we're dealing with the court of public opinion. And the court of public opinion does not have due process and does not see all of evidence and make an informed decision based on the opinion of 12 people. It is the en masse gut reaction based on whatever news feed they've got. And, in case you're Cody, your news feed is Southeast Asia and tech, not USA Today, and not E! News and all that. So, and I get that, and I respect your choice to not be, to not even be able to name 3 Kardashians. I envy you, sir.
Kim? Is
Keep going.
Chloe one?
2.
Chloe's one.
Get one more. One more.
Nope, can't do it. Can't do it. It's all right. Don't.
Is there a
don't hurt
Kimberly?
yourself. Anyways,
Another
right
C?
now we are
Courtney?
experiencing
Is there a Courtney?
It is Courtney with a K. You just went down a peg in my book. You could have stopped. But you didn't.
I was guessing. At that point.
Yeah, it's Courtney.
I was like, I think
Right
there's
now, the
Cs.
pendulum in cancel culture is here, and I can't tell you how long it'll be here, but it's going to swing back the other way. And unfortunately, and not to get too political, I really wish we could have canceled Donald Trump long before he became president, because of the stupid shit he was saying that the people that didn't vote for him saw coming a mile away. But
I was wondering, and I'm actually kind of want to dive into this because from an academic, a little more academic.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably the president was canceled. I mean, there are people who definitely believe that when he was removed from Twitter.
Yep.
A private company that has the right to remove anyone they want for whatever reason. as
Now-
far as I know.
And
I
they do
don't
have the
have
right
a-
to refuse
Now that-
service to anyone for any reason. However, he did violate a specific code of
Right.
conduct.
Right? No,
My
but that's
answer
but that's
may
the
surprise you to this.
No, it doesn't. I think I know your answer on this one. Go ahead.
I don't have a problem with it being removed from Twitter. Don't have a problem with it being removed from Facebook. Where I draw the line is when it gets further down the route of the internet and Amazon AWS starts to, then it gets to a different issue. It
AWS
gets-
Are you talking?
being a
Are you
hosting
talking
service?
Parler? Are you talking Parler?
I'm talking. I'm trying to remember how this, but it was actually one of the major hosting services that basically was, and search services that was, we're not going to do anything with this. That is when, because I believe in private enterprise and the ability to do anything, including the crazy amount where smoking or whatever. But when you get down the line to you can't drive on this road or you can't be searched for on this road at all, then it becomes a inaccessibility of information.
I will agree with you to the point that it would be wrong if he was banned from the internet. However, the private enterprise has the right to refuse service, and if he would like to, he could seek out another service provider that does not have that same moral standard. He is being denied access to Walmart does not mean he can't walk into Target, unless he's then an asshole in Target, and they tell him to piss off. If he was canceled from the internet, I would agree with you. Amazon hosting services telling him to Parler to go fuck off, completely for it. Completely for it.
Yep.
Because they are not the only kid on the block. And
here's the other thing with that. He could always hire someone to run a server.
absolutely.
Well,
It
it was
increases
further
the
down
barrier of entry.
I think you're talking
But
like
as
as
long
far
as
as I
he's not
understand.
being denied domains or something like that, like there is no.
Okay, and this is part of the. Let's go extreme again. Should a horribly racist serial killer have access to certain domains? And I know this going extremes is always a kind of a bad thing,
So-
but
serial killer.
at some point,
yes,
at some
because they're a
point,
convicted serial killer.
racist, whatever.
So-
we all agree racism is bad. I think
let's-
so. A KKK member that's arguably a terrorist group, maybe
Yeah.
not outright doing massive
Yeah.
bombings or whatever, but creates
group.
terror, whatever. Should
group.
a hate group? There you go. Just a hate group. Should they be allowed? Should they be canceled from the internet?
From the internet? No.
No, unfortunately, speech is free,
Yeah.
and I say unfortunately, kind of in passing.
Can they
I
be
believe in the
effectively
First Amendment.
canceled from the internet?
I believe that they have the right to free speech. They do not have the right to say it everywhere in the world. If you're in my living room, I can tell you to fuck off.
Yep.
If you're in Walmart, Walmart has the right to tell you to fuck off.
If you're in the
So
street,
So is that not what
if you're on the
cancel
sidewalk,
culture?
then no.
But at the same time, if someone's saying something, if you're going off of free speech, it seems like there's a misconception of what free speech is. Yes, I guess you could say what you want, but everyone else can say what they want too, and they can tell you that your opinion's fucking
Free
retarded.
speech still has consequences.
So is that's the thing. You don't get to do what anything you want in a society. That's not how a society works. We all are in this together.
And I don't think we're arguing.
If society, well, no, I'm
whether
kind of going back to the cancel culture. If
Yeah,
a society deems a particular idea toxic, going with another modern word, how is that a bad thing to say that if a person has a certain opinion on something, that they should not be allowed to express that opinion as easily as they could before?
So I don't.
As freely as they could before. I mean, they could still, in terms of freely, as in like on the open market, they could still yeah, obviously, I mean, Donald Trump, he can obviously pay to have his own quote unquote Twitter service. But again, it's does society, if as a society evolves of what is considered right, at what point can you say, like, no, that person should not be that person? Yeah, you have a right to defend yourself. You shouldn't be canceled, in my opinion. You shouldn't, just because you said something 20 years ago. Yeah, you shouldn't lose your career over that. But if you have a history of certain ideas, thoughts, and whatever,
I think
it gets a little bit more iffy again.
I think there's a continuum, and I don't think that there's a hard and fast line where you cross that line on the continuum, you're canceled. I think that we're gonna feel this around like a blind guy in a dark room. Like,
well, yeah, we have to.
It's gonna take a little while to figure it out.
Robotic, and
but
God,
to say something,
humanity never becomes that way.
To say or do something stupid, and I'll just use that term to mean any of the other things we've talked about today. But you do something or say something stupid 20 years ago. Is that who you are now? And do you have a pattern of behavior that shows that you're going to do that again? That's where I would personally cancel you. Now, that said, you rape someone, you commit a violent act against someone, I don't really care how long it's been. I'm going to hold a grudge. Forgive, but remember the bastard's name. That's a John Wayne quote. I mean, frankly, Harvey Weinstein, habitual sexual predator. He himself has been removed. The Weinstein Company has suffered greatly because of it, and unfortunately, the Weinstein Company is not just Harvey Weinstein. It is his brother, and it is the entire production staff are suffering because of his choices as the leader of that organization that bears his name. That does not mean that Clerks can't be found on the internet anymore or in the video store, if there was such a thing as a video store. And he hasn't even been convicted of a crime. Harvey is still under investigation. But the court of public opinion moves faster than the judicial system. And I personally believe that when we can actually get the American judicial system to accurately and quickly and speedily reflect the values of our society, then we will not need cancel culture anymore, because justice will do it faster than we can. That's my punctuation.
Well, it's interesting because you're saying a thing, and then kind of, I mean, I agree with you entirely, but that's kind of a legal. I mean, obviously a level of crime of act that is deemed heinous in our society, and that's why he's essentially been.
I was choosing that specifically to be so far to the other side of the continuum that it's not in the gray area.
Yeah, it's always going to be kind of like this, it seems. And going back to Brandon's point about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, I guess the question is, at what point can we stop supporting certain people? Is there if someone does something, do we have to wait a certain amount of time to actually, I guess it's kind of hard.
And you would never get a consensus on that.
But then we're not saying anything as a society. I mean, and I'm not saying, and the Johnny Depp thing is obviously, he didn't do it, arguably. And so, and I feel bad for the guy. I mean, he's done some other shitty things. He's not perfect either. But in this case, arguably, the court of public opinion destroyed the guy's career. But as Charlie said, he's still a millionaire. He's still a billionaire. He's still going to make money from any sort of syndication, anything like that. Eventually, people will forgive, especially in Hollywood, especially if he didn't do it. He will be fine. I
have an example of how that. So it's a really weird example, but so you guys all know I love the book Chicken 65. All right.
I actually don't know that, and I don't know what that book is.
It's an amazing book. You should read it.
Check Discord.
Okay.
Links below.
So I actually went to the author's web, or actually it was just on his Chicken 65 5book.com, I think. So it was sad that I don't remember this. But on his website, he tells a story about how when he was a drummer, he was, 19-year-old, like, he had been drumming since he was 7. Just excellent drummer. He wound up landing a gig with Arsenio Hall. He was going to be on the show with Bill Clinton. But, 19-year-old, he's got a lot of things to say. He's like, no, Clinton can't sing this song in this way. Like, I won't be part of that. Arsenio's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm sure. And it's like, it gave him 4 or 5 times to back out of it. He didn't. And Arsenio said, you're done and you're finished. This guy's like 40-something years old now, can never be a drummer in the entertainment industry. Because the entertainment industry does not forgive, does not forget. He tried to drum. So this is in New York. He left. He lived in Southeast Asia for years. Came back to LA, small venue. They wouldn't let him on. Wouldn't let him touch it. So now this isn't cancel culture, but this is just an example of how the entertainment industry does not forgive or forget.
At a big, we're talking big level though. I mean, at a small level, that's certain people play by different. No. We're talking. We're talking. I'm talking at levels of true celebrity status, because you could talk about how many politicians have done horrible, shitty things within the past 5 years, and they're still politicians. They're still in charge. There are celebrities who've killed people that were able to be celebrities their entire fucking life. It's all about who the powers that be. In this case, is the money going to is the damage to this person's reputation going to affect the bottom line in the court of public opinion? Can we spin it in a way that's can we spin this bad thing in a way that's not as bad? And I think that's why cancel culture, quote unquote, and again, I don't believe cancel culture is a real thing, to be clear, but the idea of people being accountable is directly related to the internet and social media, and the fact that you can talk directly to the most powerful people in the world and give them a chance to, and they have to talk directly to people. They don't talk through PR. They don't talk, I mean, they do, but they can, but they're more accessible to people, going to your point, Cody, of giving people a chance to, and we're talking at a huge level, to say, hey, okay, you said this horrible thing. It was 20 years ago. Why did you say it? Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not a good enough reason. Are you going to do it again? Well, maybe. Well, then fuck you. We don't have to do anything for you, any of you. At the smaller level, you could say, people play by different rules, and you're not going to hear about the small person. But you're not going to hear about the small person that said something 25 years ago on Facebook, necessarily, on that type of level. Now, granted,
until you're
with
not
the issue with but again, the pillars, quote unquote, the pillars of our society, the celebrities, the media they create, that's our culture. That is how we represent ourselves. And that, I guess that's why the court of public opinion is so entrenched in this idea, because if we allow J.K. Rowling, at least a certain side believes that if they allow J.K. Rowling to continue to say these horrible things and then create this art, we're saying something about ourselves.
Or we're going to allow J.K. Rowling to influence more people to be hatred and
yes. And
I guess
that's the key.
I don't want to have Brandon not say anything, but I do want to summarize one thing. My problem with cancel culture isn't that it simply exists. My problem is the history of data that we have on the internet that is now forever. Anybody who was born post, I'm going to say 1995, has their entire life open for inspection by everybody, and you can be judged on that. Okay? So there's that, coupled with the court of public opinion that doesn't necessarily adhere to nuance, and then when you look at things that are popular, they're not always well researched things too. So that barring those, I am actually not against like the idea, and I've said it before. I'm not against the idea of saying, "Wow, that person's a really shitty person. I'm not doing that." It's when you make it like your every fiber and being to try to ruin them that then I have to.
But specifically with you're going, and I'd probably wrap it up soon, but specifically with the big stories of these
for a little bit.
Sorry, Brandon, I'll make this quick.
You're fine.
The issue with these big cancellations is they're losing their contracts. Like I can't think of the actor's name for The Mandalorian. What's her name?
The actress that played Cara Dune.
Yeah. I should know her name.
Yeah,
Point is, the issue, I mean, the cancellation is that she lost the ability to be on that show. And that is, but she also said the things, and she never apologized. She doubled down on them, actually, in some ways.
Okay. I'm going to have a dissenting opinion on this one. Actually.
But here's the thing about, I should know her name. She's still
Gina
Gina Carano.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
If we work together, we can find it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. If only we had some sort of worldwide web of information, we could look that up too. But alas, it does not exist.
Hey,
but
we did it together. No.
I don't remember which way.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible. Whatever.
Wow.
But she's still
Harry Sacks.
I didn't say Harry this time. I just said
didn't.
sacks of mostly water.
I did notice that. I'm like,
what
okay.
What I'm saying is the studio made a decision because this person represents them, and in terms of the bottom line, they believe by keeping them around, it will cost them in the long run. And with any of us, if we do something that makes the company we work for bad, we will be fired. Any of us will do that. If Charlie does something out in the field as EMT that, well, I mean, obviously there's big consequences in multiple ways.
TV and spouted horrible, vile, just things that would make me a terrible spokesperson for the organization. Simply because I said those things, they would remove me. Simply. Had nothing to do with patient care at all.
And
okay, yeah,
you might be blackballed from being an EMT, or at least at that level, because they can't risk you going back out there and saying that shit again.
I would not be able to work as a paramedic if I did that thing.
It's just playing by the same rules as everybody else.
It's just macro.
Yeah, sorry, I want Brandon to...
Brandon, say something.
Brandon, I want you to have the last word on this.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to bring up that there's inequality in social justice. That there is a big difference between a man doing something wrong and his entire body of work being canceled out, and a woman doing something wrong, or any other thing. There is a lot of inequality between the different people, even at the same kind of things. So, for instance, Cardi B admitted to having drugged and beaten and stolen from men. Almost no persecution. Almost no riled upness. Her work, if anything, only increased in its popularity, and then you have other people that have done similar things, but because of one minor difference from them to her,
I think
getting
that
more persecuted.
I think that statement lacks nuance in itself, and here's the reason why: the demographic in which she serves appreciates that behavior. If you were to line up a bunch of Southern Baptist preachers and say, should Cardi B, exist? And they'll say, no, X, Y, Z. But if, I don't know, a country singer says racist shit and his label says, no, and flushes him down the toilet that he belongs, that's because their demographic didn't appreciate that.
It's all about the bottom line in the end.
The nuance of knowing your audience. Don't work for Disney and spout Republican bullshit. That's the lesson of Cara Dune. Know your audience.
I mean, not here, Cody. Stop. I know what you're going to say. This is Disney making that decision. This isn't. Everyone kind of made their decision, obviously, on that. But in the end, the company made a financial decision based on the demographic. I agree with Charlie in this case, on the demographic they serve and what they want to be seen as, the happy-go-lucky, everyone's perfect in the world company that happens to own 95% of the media. They made a financial decision, and they saw the writing on the wall that people were going to vote with their wallets. Most likely, there was a real possibility that people were going to boycott Disney Plus because of that. And Disney's got to do what Disney's got to do in terms of the money. Doesn't make it, I don't know if it makes it right or wrong. That's just what happened.
You gotta fuck with me?
Gotta jump.
And what
on
she
it
said was
before
arguably
other
wrong.
people-
And what she said was wrong. I mean,
the
look it
way
up.
She
I
said
would say
it was wrong. What she actually was saying.
It doesn't matter. How you say stuff matters too. If she said it the wrong way, then she said it the wrong way. That's still.
Yeah, she said it the wrong way, but ultimately
And then
it was
doubled
proven
down
to
on
be
it when
true. It
asked.
was a self-fulfilling
and she
prophecy.
had a chance, but Cody, she had a chance to clarify. That's the key. She had a chance to clarify, and she doubled down on it. So it wasn't misconstrued. She doubled down on what she said. I mean, that's the thing. And also, she's doing fine. She's on the other side now, working for Breitbart. So
yeah, I mean,
she still has a career.
What I worry about is we're getting into a point where it's going to be like maybe not the Black Mirror episode, but the episode of Orville where
with everybody walking around and liking and disliking each other, and if you were below a certain level, you no longer exist.
Yeah, and it actually was also Black Mirror too. So that's, and we've got a long way to get there. I'm just.
But arguably, we are kind of heading there.
Well, China's there, like with some of their stuff for different reasons. But, and I'm not going to.
I'm thinking the pendulum swings back before we go there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And like I said, I don't entirely disagree with cancel culture. I disagree with cancel culture in its current form. In its, I like that face expression, Colton. I love that we can still have these nuanced opinions from each other.
I've already deleted you from my phone, Cody. Don't worry.
Oh shit! Wow. Damn.
Sorry. Canceled. I'm just kidding.
Time to create teams.
I guess in the end, should people be held accountable for what they do in the past?
Yes.
As in most things,
it's on a continuum.
It's not as simple as at this point it's time there's person to not have a job in this particular field anymore.
Do we care
It's-
if Bill Clinton
do-
smoked weed, 20 years ago when he's president?
Now we wouldn't
20
care,
years
but
later?
when he was
No.
president, that was a very different time.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that was
true.
that's actually a good
But
point, Cody.
We shouldn't have cared about Bill Clinton smoking weed back when he said that.
And
or
then
whatever.
one president later, we didn't care about cocaine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, no,
Society evolves,
yeah,
cultures change,
people change.
our
and that-
values
that's
change
okay.
based on the media.
Yep.
It's kind of a recurring thing. The media influences what we believe, and then
Snake chasing its tail.
and eventually we all die. So
Entropy of the universe. We all die a heat death. It's fine. It's fine.
We create too much energy.
cool.
I don't know. I think the summation of this episode should just be that each of you should make your own opinions, form your own opinions, research. Don't give in to
Bah.
exactly. You are each individuals and should each think individually.
Ignorance is a choice in today's world. That is probably one of the main problems we have, actually, in the end.
Yeah, I
Yep.
can absolutely. Wow, we found common ground.
All right.
I don't think we were far from common ground the whole time. Actually.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
This is how shit like this should be talked about. Just
All right.
don't be a dick. The
Don't
one
be a
commandment.
dick.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Put that on a bumper sticker. Oh wait, already have one.
Will Wheaton.
John
Wheaton!
John Solankiewicz.
All right, take us home, Brandon.
All right. Well, Colton, where can we find you?
Well, my name is Colton. Yeah.
Sorry.
This actually was going to be related to the topic that the normal episode we were going to do, but I'll just use this one next time, or something different, maybe even something wild. Who knows? But my name is Colton Roper. You can find me on twitch.tv/seeker4761. I try to stream every Tuesday and throughout the day, depending on if I'm working or not. I'm also a contributor to the techpirate.net. I hope to have an article coming out here by this coming Wednesday, the 11th? No, 10th. The 10th. I don't know. Eventually it will come out. But I'm going to try and I am going to try to make a weekly article again, along with my game review Thursday, which unfortunately there was not one this last week because I'm an idiot and lost all the audio. So
It's a learning experience.
I'm an idiot.
It happens.
It's fine.
failure,
It
but
happens.
it'll come back.
Ooh, you're almost like striving to do that.
Much
Speaking
like
of
where
which-
we can find Cody.
Yes.
Whoa, that's a segue.
That's our first good segue.
Yep, so I'm Cody Stratman. You can find me at Striving for Failure? Striving to Fail?
To failure, Cody. God damn it.
What are
You
those?
had
Fuck me.
this. You had it.
I know I did. And I dropped it. The segue just fell flat. The guy, ran into something and just smashed his face. I also have contributed once to the techpirate.net. I had article ideas. Oh, I do. I have a really good article idea. It's going to be a rant. It's going to be brilliant. And that'll be 8 months from now. But because I am lazy and I do have a lot on my plate right now. But you can find me usually in this guy's Twitch stream or playing Valheim or something like that. So anyway, I believe it's Mjolnir's turn.
And I am Charlie Stifler, also known as Milnor, spelled wrong so I always get it. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch and here and eventually the Tech Pirate. And my mission, so some people do New Year's resolutions. I do birthday resolutions. So when I return from Tucson, where that asshole lives, next week, I will start twitching frequently, at least twice a week. And I'll be playing games like Space Haven. What's other good ones I've got? Door Kickers. a little bit of Among Us, a little bit of Overwatch. Yeah, so I'll be twitching a lot more lately.
Hell
We
yeah.
should start a series together.
Yes, we should.
We need to finish our forest. God damn it.
Yes, we
do.
do.
Okay. All right. Sorry for trying to insert an idea in the middle of this.
We've already
Probably
done
not
this.
the place, but
And Brandon, we need to finish our Star Wars online, or not Star Wars, Jesus Christ, Star Trek,
Star Trek.
1, 2.
Yes, we
So,
do.
Oh, I need to join you guys with that. Yeah,
You do.
I've only got a
VR.
level 60.
we all have VR now.
Yes, we do.
Hey, Bridge Commander,
That'd be a fun stream.
Star Trek Bridge Command.
All
Yep.
right.
That's fun. That's fun. But it's only 3 seats. Isn't
So
it?
we'll have
Is
to-
it 3
we'll have
seats
to
or is
fight
it
to
I
the-
thought it was
Oh, I
4.
It's 4.
No, it's 4. It's 4. We're
Yeah,
playing that.
Captain, and then the 3
Yeah.
other.
VR
Oh, yeah,
guys.
we could totally
Yeah,
do it.
we're playing that.
Brandon, where can we find you?
You can find me here every week, as well
Buy
as
his
at
Banner Merchant
thetechpirate.net. Yes, that I'm waiting anxiously for. That's still forever away. You can find me on thetechpirate.net. You can find me on YouTube as The Tech Pirate. I actually need to make more content now that life is starting to kind of level out again for a little bit
Whatever that means.
before it gets super crazy again. Yeah. And on Star Citizen once the new patch drops.
Hell yeah.
I don't even know what's on it.
I don't either. But I know I hopped on to play a couple days ago, and you can tell it's like the dip before the new patch because there is no one on.
Which planet they removing now?
They shouldn't be removing anymore. That planet was never supposed to be
I
in that
know it was
system.
never supposed to
always
be in
just a test.
Stanton. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Just saying.
Still,
I've
want
I've heard from people at work who found out that I was a Star Citizen person, and they're like, "Aren't you just so upset about them removing the planet?" And it's like,
no. You
that was
see,
never
that
supposed to be
that
there
imaginary
anyway."
planet was never supposed to be in that star system.
Imaginary
so.
star system, and my thousands of dollars of spaceships says so. Yep. Anyway, thank you all for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at ThisTwill. And if you'd like to contact us, you can always send an email to twill@thetechpirate.net. We'll see you all next weekend.
Bye. Don't hate us. We love you.
Much love. We appreciate you all.
I feel like Charlie isn't as like fervent about technology as we try to make him when we push the Apple thing, the
I
iPhone
know.
thing specifically. It's like
I don't need to
It
argue.
works.
I know I'm right.
Strong
well said.
words.
I have nothing to say to
Strong
that.
words
Well
for
said.
another
sir.
day.
Fuck you.
Yeah, but we do. So I think the whole Twitch thing, if we gotta kind of, as much as I hate planning, but I really think
Yeah.
if we plan a series and go, we're gonna start the series and we're gonna do it in Twitch stuff, that I think that would actually be a really good way to do it.
I agree.
Be interesting
think
to
that
put
would
it
be
in our
fantastic.
schedule, considering we're having difficulty finding one hour together.
I know.
Okay,
It'd have to be like a
Brandon-
once a month kind of
But
thing.
we have to start the game together, and then we have to, like, what I would say is we need a few episodes, or I guess it's Twitch, so you do it live. Yeah. So never mind. I'm thinking
Yeah,
YouTube, not Twitch.
But we can record and upload to YouTube later.
yeah.
We can make a Dark Horizon or something. Who knows? We'll figure something out.
I think we need a Dark Horizon YouTube channel.
Or we all could just put it on our own Twitch channels too, or our own
That's true.
YouTube channels too. I mean, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.